heroes
of
humility, 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 humility. This is not a charade. This is real. These words you are about to hear are coming from real humans on a mission to save the human race from itself. Buckle up while these delusional heroes of humility, aka hoes, attempt to right the wrongs in everyday human behavior. What up, dudes? Red.
Good morning.
And then beige.
Good afternoon.
Guys made the drive over to the studio. I wish I had taken a leak before we got started. I think I'm going to have to...
Oh, jeez.
Body break already?
Yeah, dang it. I just got everything situated.
Go grab a bottle from the kitchen.
Where's your Gatorade
I'll
bottle,
be right back. You guys can talk without me. I'll be right back.
Do you remember what it was like to have such a little small toddler bladder?
Oh, man. This is what, 3 times, I think, in the past hour? Let's, hopefully the mics aren't super sensitive so we don't hear Pierce.
Our stomach growling and actually...
Well, yeah, my stomach was growling earlier, man. I haven't eaten yet today. And it's like going past noon right now.
Were you offered a beef stick or any nutrients?
You know what, dude? No. Just water. That's it. Yeah, the hospitality is... Yeah, it's kind of...
It's gone down.
It's gone down a little bit, yeah. It used to be 5-star experience. Now it's...
no longer. We're barely 2.
Yeah. It's going on the Yelp review, dude.
Well, yeah, dude. I had to eat something before I left my place because it's an hour drive just to get over here.
You got to bring some snacks, dude, for like a road trip.
Yeah.
Don't give too much information, dude. We're in an undisclosed location. I'm back.
Snap.
Was it pretty boring earlier until I...
No, the mics are really
actually,
good.
yeah.
The mics are really good.
The mics are good. I think the show was actually a lot better with you in the restroom.
Well, now begins the official show where everybody's here and ready for duty. When I came back from the restroom down the hall, I noticed there was a few drips of water on the floor, so I had to wipe those off.
I know Red had mentioned something about the lack of beef sticks. I kind of noticed that myself.
Don't try to change the subject because what I was referring to is when you dried your hands, you dripped some water on the floor, so I had to clean it up.
Oh, here it goes.
Well, you hope that's water.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not water.
That's horrible, man. Yeah, let's hope it's water. That's like, have you ever seen that one where somebody comes out of the restroom and then they shake your hand and they're like, oh, yeah, I dropped my quarter in the toilet.
In the
and
urinal
they shake
there?
your hand.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a juvenile thing. But anyway, you guys doing okay? Thanks for making the drive again.
Yeah,
Everybody all right?
little hungry. No beef stick, but other than that,
you
I'm
guys
doing
get
pretty good.
spoiled and you've gotten used to getting all this extravagant stuff when you come over, but I haven't been able to get to Costco. It's been busy, so that's part of the reason. You know what I've noticed is, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but as I get older, I tend to, there's times where I can go into a scary rage at the drop of a pin. Is that the right expression? The drop of a hat? I blew it. People know what I mean. But I got upset the other day because I went to pour some oat milk. I put a little bit of oat milk in my chicken broth in the morning, and I realized after I had already put it in there.
Sounds horrible. No wonder why you're angry.
It was expired. Yeah, the oat milk had expired, so I immediately began to feel like a rage build inside me, and I thought, well, now that's going to destroy I have to throw all this chicken broth out. So I actually said aloud an expletive.
Ooh.
And Beauty was in the room, and I looked over, and I was in such a...
Like a legit expletive or like a substitute expletive?
You just said expletive.
You know what I...
You didn't say like,
somebody who
gosh
uses,
darn.
If somebody uses the word expletive, they're probably not somebody that cusses a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I used an expletive, and then I even forgot Beauty was in the room, and so I started to feel a little shame, and before I could feel the full amount of shame that I deserved to feel, I looked over and she said, you have another one in the fridge. I went yesterday to Sprouts and I got some, and I immediately felt this like euphoria come over me. I all of a sudden realized this isn't good. I went into an immediately, didn't even know, it was like everything was blurry. I was so upset.
So is this like a long way of you saying that you're like the cranky old guy now?
I don't want to get that way.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I don't want to get like that, man. So I just
Well, I see. You got your hat on backwards now. You're kind of trying to keep it young, dude.
I am young at heart, but I don't like what's happening to my temperament. It's like I'm losing I lost the
Well, I think a lot of that, it's not necessarily an age thing. You know, I think you're going through some stuff right now. It seems like, you know, so
take it easy, dude. Jeez.
No, but I'm saying when people are going through stressful situations in their lives,
yeah, I am.
I think, especially like with me and stuff, it definitely, you got to keep an eye on it because it's gonna definitely make your fuse a lot shorter if you're dealing with stress.
You don't have the patience.
Yeah, you don't have the patience. So I think part of that might be the underlying stress. And it's always like the slightest thing. It's maybe not a big deal, but it's like, okay, dude, my stress is already at a level 9 and all it takes is some expired oat milk. And then you're just like, you know?
DEFCON. I know.
DEFCON, yeah. And then there's no cat around to take it out on.
Yeah,
you know?
You can't,
the cat or the dog. Spray the cat with a hose.
Hopefully, if people are following the show, they heard the last episode where your mom, you recall this awful memory of your first kind of sadist. I don't know. How would you describe that conduct? It's almost like the beginnings of a serial killer. So your mom said,
thank you.
Wow.
You need to take care of this cat. And you read into that and thought, well, that means that I have to take the cat, kidnap it, and then relocate it to a different zip
I wouldn't
code.
say kidnap it.
Yeah,
you know.
We probably shouldn't speak about this.
It was a field trip.
We're going to lose listeners.
I like a field trip.
It was a field trip without a return. It was a one-way ticket. He got a one-way ticket to another neighborhood.
I don't know about the field trips you took in school, but usually they brought me back home afterwards. But yeah, I guess one of the things we thought about talking about in this episode was what it's like when you go on a field trip to a different place to eat. All the nutrients and things I need are in my house, and I make sure I bring them back here so that I have everything I need. I can cook it the way I want. I am eating exactly what I know is in my food, which is the biggest one. And I know nobody else has breathed on it or contaminated it with. So now if you go out with friends or something, I realize there's a few procedures, a few things that I do. And I'm wondering, do other people think about this like this, or is it part of the math at all when they go out? Do people give this any thought? What do you guys think?
Depends on how neurotic you actually are about this stuff. I mean, there's something to be said about foodborne illnesses. You know, if you go to the restaurant, there's like roaches scurrying around, or you go to the bathroom and you see some dude come out of the stall and just walk right out of the bathroom.
That happened to me once.
Then you might think twice about partaking in the meal there. But absent something egregious, I usually just try to be like, ignorance is bliss. I don't really give much consideration on the goings on in the kitchen if I'm eating this piece of pizza or what have you, unless I see something direct where I'm like, ooh, yeah, I don't know about that.
I was at a restaurant once, and it was kind of like a mom and pop type of restaurant. And one of the cashier, I guess it was one of her duties to empty the trash can in the restaurant. This was like a fast food joint where you order your food, they hand you your food, and then at the end you throw it away in a trash can by the door. Well, I saw her go, I don't know why, maybe there was nothing like of interesting going on, so I just happened to watch her go from the register over to empty the trash. And she returned back to the register and never washed her hands after handling the bag. And I'm not usually like this germaphobe freak, dude, about it. But once I saw it, it was kind of... I didn't get a good feeling anymore. Like, I don't really want to eat where I'm eating it because she's handing out the orders.
But then, what do? You're not going to return it and say, you know what? I just saw you take the trash out and not wash your hands. I'm going to return this. Can I get my money back?
Yeah, I didn't.
Like, you don't want to do that because that's just kind of rude, right?
Yeah, rude. Yeah. And I don't want to cause a scene. I don't want to be, I don't know. If she would have dropped something on the floor, I guess it would be the same thing. I know the answer probably definitely from Pierce. If, let's say, for instance, you're at a place where you get your own drinks and the person in front of you that beat you to the place to get your soda or tea or whatever, and then they go to grab a lid to put on top of their cup, and when they grab those lids, they grab like 3.
And they put the other 2 back.
And they touch the other 2 and they put it back on top, but they didn't put it on their drink.
Have you ever? Oh man,
you see what I'm saying? Like that's one of those. Is that person look clean? Were their hands clean?
Have you ever seen somebody grab a bunch of glasses and like they grab 5 glasses with all 5 fingers, so their fingers are in the glasses and they're pushing the glasses together so they can carry them all with one hand?
Oh, like a server bringing you like water,
like bringing the drinks out, or like taking the used drinks away.
I've seen in the wait station, and I used to wait tables when I was in college, and I would see people do that. Not going to the table, but before they had gotten to the table.
Out of view of the customer.
Right. And I used to think, oh my gosh.
Yeah, if they knew.
And you think about, well, what's this person's hygiene?
See, you know too much.
Exactly. It's like if you have a family member that is in the medical profession and they have to go to the hospital, they have way more concerns and questions than you do. That's like me. I've got a lot of things that I saw that I thought
I'm surprised you can even eat out, man. I would think you would be like a neurotic mess at this point with all your knowledge that you have, dude.
Ignorance is bliss for sure. I make sure that I've got a few places that I will go
like
to.
The chips, right? If they bring chips out to a table, are those fresh chips or are those chips from baskets that somebody else didn't finish?
For all you know, they could have come out of the trash in the alley. Yeah. How long have those chips been there? What did somebody do to them? What was the oil like that they used to make the chips?
Exactly.
Are we talking about like Mexican chips where they had to fry them?
Did you get 4 baskets of a quarter left of chips in each basket and then just combine them all into one basket of chips? You know?
Yeah. What if somebody sneezed in the general vicinity of the chips and you're just basically eating a petri dish of dirty chips?
Would it be rude if you brought your own bag of chips to a?
I almost bring my entire main meal with me.
So at the steakhouse when they have the big barrel of peanuts in them, and everybody just grabs a bunch of peanuts and then just sitting there breaking peanuts, that wouldn't be you.
Nah, that wouldn't be. Well, here's another thing. Let me ask you guys a question, because we've gone to lunch before. Now, when we usually go to lunch, we don't go to a place. Well, sometimes we go to where a waiter or waitress brings your food, a server.
A lot of times we would do like deli counter or something like that at like a fancy grocery store.
But I'm sure that I've been to a restaurant with you where you always see me do the same thing, right? I bring my own water. Now, when you see me bring my own water in my thermos, especially if it's a big one, are you guys a little embarrassed? Do you ever get a little embarrassed when I put it on the table?
And I got
especially when it's big.
I got a funny story about that. Is that there's some places where that could be considered a violation of liquor law.
Oh, interesting.
Because from what I've found out is that some of these restaurants, if they have a liquor license, if you serve liquor, you can't allow outside drinks into your facility.
Yeah, outside.
And so here's this guy showing up with this big thermos, and how do I know that's not vodka in there or something else that you're bringing in? How do I know that's only water? We don't allow outside beverages here, sir. And I've actually seen that where I've gone to lunch with somebody before, and the server was this guy had brought bottled water and then like one of those like packets to mix in it, flavor packets, and he got into it with the server because they were like, you can't do that, we can't allow that, that's a violation of the state liquor laws, you can't bring that beverage in here. And then there was like back and forth, and I was like, oh god, I'm not here right now, dude.
That's humiliating. Can you imagine somebody coming over and telling you you can't do this or that? Just having somebody tell you that, you immediately feel like a child.
And it's funny because like knowing the guy, he's like the most straight-laced guy. He's probably never even tasted a beer in his life before, but he's the one that's getting this rash of crap from this waitress because of the liquor laws. And this is the last dude that would bring in any alcohol if you actually knew this guy.
That's funny. I could see that happen to me, except I never go anywhere where they do serve liquor with my thermos. So if I did bring it, it would be surprising that they'd say that. I don't know what I would say. I would probably say,
this is going on your Yelp review.
I was going to say this will reflect poorly in your Google review when I'm done. But one of the things I do is, especially the bigger my bottle is, inversely related to whether or not it's inversely related.
Compensating. You know what they say about guys with big bottles.
So do you bring around a big orange igloo with you, or you know what I mean? Like,
like at the sporting, like the kids like soccer game. Like with the little.
If that's your water bottle, then you might have some issues.
I'm used to a lot of people being jealous of the size of
he just brings it there, and then hey, anybody in the restaurant need water here?
You want water?
You got to share with everybody.
It's been filtered.
Yeah, I just got a 5-gallon bucket here.
Everywhere I go with my huge thermos, I just feel like a lot of feelings of jealous. I feel like a lot of people are just very envious of my
beverage envy.
Yeah. So when I put it, usually what I do though is I'll put it on the seat next to me instead of putting it prominently. So the bigger it is, the more covert I am with it.
No, you might have had issues before. I remember we used to go to lunch, and at one point you had a clear thermos, and you like to put lemon water, so your water looked kind of murky. Yeah. That's the kind of the worry. You're like, is he getting fresh water?
Yeah, this is getting now fresh we're
water? Is this water or a portable toilet?
Yeah,
what
now,
is this?
Now creeps into the Yeah, now
there's floaties floating in his water, and
now the immaturity creeps into the hoe conversation. One hoe is trying to take good care of himself. The other hoes are just making poo-poo and pee-pee jokes left and right.
See, but that's the thing. Like, if you ask for water at a restaurant, have you ever had it where it's like, okay, well, do you want bottled water or tap or the other water? Have you ever had like a server ask you that if you ask for water, where they're like, what kind of water do you want?
Because one kind you're probably gonna have to pay water for that comes out of the toilet.
Right. Yeah, the hose. Let me call the busboy over here. He'll take your cup back to the back, and the little hose will dump it in there. It's like, why?
What's ridiculous, what I'd like to say to the wait staff, and because I've been there, is does it really matter since you just put your fingers in my glass before you brought it out anyway? Because I'm just thinking, I might buy the fanciest water that you have, but if you're going to put it into your glass that hasn't been clean and it's got lipstick on it, or that you put your finger in, does it really matter?
Yeah, why does my water taste like cigarettes?
Yeah.
Right?
It's just silly. And I had a guy, we went to a restaurant one time, went to Disney World, and we thought, well, we're going to stay on Disney campus and we're going to stay at the nice hotel and make everything convenient. And everything got so pretentious. So the guy brought out our food and he made it sound like it was going to be this amazing gourmet meal. And it really didn't look like that amazing. And then he did this thing where he kind of moved his hands in a motion across
like
the
he's
meal.
Like unveiling a magic trick.
Like it was a masterpiece.
Here's your mac and cheese.
Like a hamburger and fries.
Dude, it's just, and he was like, these capers you'll find to your liking. And I was like, they're too salty, bro. That just at the basic level, they have way too much salt.
Well, we have reduced potatoes au foie and a oil reduction. So French fries is what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, dude, I can tell you don't even speak French, and you're trying to make it sound like it was all French, and he was moving his hands in weird ways. And I was just, and then but the reason it made me think of it is because he was asking us, well, what kind of water we would want. And he didn't even offer us regular water. He named like 3 or 4 different
like
brands, like Fuji and Perrier and something other.
Perrier.
And he tried to say it like you just did. He corrected me too.
That's
same thing. Wow, did you work at that restaurant?
Yeah. It's
Perrier, very pretentious, just like you.
Did you like swirl it around in your...
Yeah, I should have swirled it and taken a breath of the water, taken a big breathe of the water, a big breath. I can't talk it. But it was just silliness because it was just water.
This is a good year. This is a
a good Perrier water, sir. I love this Perrier that you were bringing me. Yeah. So no, I just said, and so what I did when he said all that to Beauty and I, because he thought what he's used to doing is embarrassing people. He's used to making you feel like, especially when you're with a lovely lady like I was, he was used to trying to embarrass you and emasculate you in front of your date so that you do get the fanciest, right? And I surprised him because I just said, no, we'll just take whatever you have straight from the tap. And he was like, so he kind of laughed, but he was trying not to because he was still in his mindset of trying to make us get stuff.
Well, there is a restaurant chain out there where their whole shtick it's called Dick's Last Resort, and their whole thing is the waiters and waitresses are rude to you.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that? In like Vegas, I think they have one, and it's like they come out and they make fun of you. And that place was cool. Like I went there, it was pretty funny. They're all good-hearted. It's not like they're really cruel about it, I don't think, but
Did you ever feel the fires burning in when they were giving you a rash or a hard time?
No, but based on your mental state with the oat milk story earlier, I probably wouldn't go to Dick's Last Resort right now if I was you.
How dare you?
How dare? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's other little things
create a scene
that I think I might do because of my PTSD from working in restaurants. The thing is, before there's a couple stages that food is going through. It's going through preparation, so whatever the ingredients, however they were prepared, cut, diced, whatever. Then it's going through the cooks because they're going to handle your food, right? And then it's going to go to the wait staff.
Don't ruin my happy place.
It's about ignorance.
This is like the people that are like, hey, have you seen the slaughterhouse videos, like how hot dogs are made? And it's like, yeah, I don't want to know, dude. I get that it's not probably the best process, but ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Yeah, let me just eat the poo-poo I'm used to eating. And
see?
So you bring, so it's going through these 3 stages. And dude, I worked in a restaurant, so I knew I don't want to sound like I'm too judgmental here, but I knew that some of these people, not everybody is going to wash their hands carefully. Not everybody is going to handle something carefully because they know another person's going to eat it. Mm-hmm. And
I want you to make my food as if you were eating it.
That's what you're not going to have happen at a restaurant. Yeah, that's not going to happen. In fact, I've even seen some of the staff, and I think to myself, how do you even eat food after you've touched it? You're disgusting. Mm. Like, you know yourself better than I do. How do you live with yourself?
Reminds me of that movie. Have you seen that movie, Waiting?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You've seen that where they purposely are like, oh, how about a little Parmesan? And the guy's like rubbing his dandruff.
The customers, like, they're rude to the server, and they go, oh, yeah, your steak wasn't done well. And they drop it on the floor and kick it, and then they put it back on the plate.
Wow. Yeah. So I think about that. That's why whenever I go out to eat, I am the nicest person.
That helps.
Like, if the waitress is coming by or something that you get your order wrong, the last thing I'm going to do is like, are you kidding me? I asked for this, not this, like, give me a break and belittle somebody because they're going to be like, okay, I think there's certain people that
we'll get you.
Yeah, there could potentially be and if I'm out with somebody like that, I'm like, just for clarification, ma'am, she had the bean and cheese burrito, not here. So if you do something to the bean and cheese burrito, that's going over there. I don't want any friendly, catch a stray over here in my food.
I've talked about this before, but that show Fear Factor, where any of those shows where there was a component of, yes, you're risking your life in certain ways or you're in a dangerous situation. The one I would always be out, I'd be like, I'm out, is where you have to put something into your pie hole.
Like bugs.
It's something that is not something you should be eating. Your body, whatever you put into your mouth is going inside your body, man. How do people not appreciate that? So when you go to a restaurant or you go somewhere, your life is in someone's hands indirectly because that is going into your body. And some of those things can have long-term consequences.
Yeah, I mean, like foodborne illnesses and stuff. I mean, if it's not prepared correctly or if it's not sanitary, you have E. coli and salmonella, and it can make people really sick.
And there are worse viruses, but I also think of it like this. You could drop my steak on the ground and I know that it probably wouldn't kill me, but I don't want it like that. Or, a tiny bit of Clorox in your McDonald's hamburger so that they can keep it preserved, which I heard got some controversial attention years ago, whatever chemical they were using. Well, guess what? At certain amounts, they say, it's okay if you have a little bit of Clorox, and I'm using that to oversimplify, but it was some kind of preservative. But the thing is I would rather have 0 Clorox in mine, sir.
And I know this was always at least a rumor. I don't know if it's true, or at least an urban legend or something, and maybe a listener could verify if they have knowledge. But I always heard like a bag of chips, potato chips, they're allowed X amount of insect parts per bag.
Yummy.
Like they're like the FDA is like, oh yeah, you're allowed, X amount of insect. Like it should be 0, dude.
And who's the one measuring that it only has X amount of insects?
Like,
anyway?
Oh, that's a wing. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. That antenna there, that's delicious.
That one shrimp that wiggled into your food. Never mind, his poop colon wasn't taken off. But
here's to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Have you ever accidentally eaten bugs?
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely.
When I was riding my bike,
you realized it
flew in my mouth.
So I have a story. I was a kid, probably about 7-8 years old. Every morning I'd eat Rice Krispies before school. Pour me a bowl of Rice Krispies, and I'm eating Rice Krispies, and I'm like done with my bowl, pretty much. Get ready to go off. I look down at my bowl. It's moving. It's full of like these little mealworms in the box of Rice Krispies, and I ate the whole damn thing.
How old were you?
I was like 7 or 8 years old, dude.
Did it change you at all, or did you just?
I think it gave me superpowers, dude. It was all protein, buddy. Yeah. But I was like, I looked down and I was like, oh my god, I just ate a bowl of worms, dude.
No,
because they were the color of Rice Krispies,
right?
They were like little.
That's why they make them that color, so you can't tell.
They look like little Rice Krispies. So when you pour the bowl out, there was Rice Krispies in there, but there was also a crap load of little mealworms too.
At that point, you're at the point of no return. It's either you've already committed. They're in your stomach.
I threw the rest out. But I had eaten 75% of the bugs.
Did you puke
already?
You puked?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I remember the very first time I ever ran the fastest. I don't know if you guys ever remember the first time you ran so fast that you felt like your feet were just barely touching the ground because you're just the tips of your toes.
You're like one of those speedboats.
Yeah.
Like on the water.
Yeah, you're about to fly off.
Oh, yeah. This was just yesterday.
I was running that fast because I looked across the parking lot at my 1.5-year-old little sister, and she had leaned over to pick up some gum off of the street and put it in her mouth. And I started sprinting. I mean, and that's when I knew that one of my powers was speed. Anyway, I digress. But when I got to my sister, I tried to hit it out of her hand, but she was chewing.
Were you doing like, no?
Yeah, I was yelling as I was trying to get there.
Slow motion.
I heard the Mission Impossible music playing in the background. There was a small beat of perspiration. I think I was like 7, but even then I knew this is wrong. This is not good. And
even before you knew what herpes was.
Yeah, even before I knew what foodborne allergy. There's nothing in gum that you need anyway. That's just something you're chewing on and spitting out. That's the stupidest thing.
Well, it's just like it's like a mental game. It's like smoking on. It's like something to occupy your mind, basically.
And it's an invitation into temporomandicular disorder, but we won't get into that. But it's just like you're buying something that was never intended for you to digest, and you're just chewing it. And yeah, maybe there's some dental benefits, but for the most part, any of those benefits you could get elsewhere. So, try brushing.
When I was
teeth.
always told as a kid, oh, gum, that's like whale fat or something like that. And it's not, never was. But, as a kid, you believe stupid stories.
Well, and for all you know, it could be. I mean, I can't imagine the people coming up with percentages of how many roaches can be in your food care too much about gum. They probably don't have the same kind of quality controls on gum. So why? Yeah, it's just another thing I don't. So I minimize risk. And when I go to a restaurant or I go out, because of some of the things I've seen, I think, okay, there's going to be a very particular place I go. Is it some place that's busy? Is it some place that clearly in some way would be confirmed to have the highest assignment possible by the
Do you review the health inspection report every time before you go to the
I'll definitely look online.
Or the restaurant?
If I see anything that has the word runs in it in a Google review or
Montezuma's Revenge.
Yeah, or never went back because developed malignant cancer. Those are the kind of things that I think, okay, that's not, but I look a little bit, and it's the well-known places. I also, when I get concerned when I have a buddy and we're on vacation, we're travel for whatever reason, or if I'm on vacation, I don't want to go with a bunch of people that want to be too adventuresome and go to like some place.
I hear you there.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I like the food I like, and it's like, I get that you like, this food from some very small country in South America or Africa or someplace, and you think it's the best thing ever. But like, I'm comfortable over here.
Yeah,
I'm the burger fries guy. Like, that's me. I'm not the.
I don't want to risk my life just for the one moment of comfort where I'm not that guy.
Right.
I'd rather be that guy.
Well, and it's like, do you really like the food, dude, or are you trying to be like interesting?
Yeah.
No, I know
that's part of it. Like, oh, I like this. Oh, you're so interesting. It's like, dude, shut up. Eat a burger and fries.
I know what you're talking about, Beige, because I was kind of there with you when that happened. At least on one of the adventures, we worked with a guy that I guess had traveled quite a bit in his younger days and liked exotic foods. And hey, let's go to lunch. He was real sly about like, okay, yeah, I'll drive. And then as we're driving, he wouldn't talk about where we're going to go eat, So one of the times he pulls into an Indian buffet. And I remember Jordan, because he had the same look, like, I never had Indian food before. I'm not against it, but I think it's the whole premise of that we're on a short amount of time. The bathroom, when we get back to work, sometimes is sketchy. I don't want to have an upset stomach while I'm at the office because I went and ate something that doesn't agree with me. And he went to this restaurant, and he's been there before, and was like all excited to take us to this Indian buffet. I know Beige, he is a hamburger, cheeseburger.
Used to be. Used to be.
It is a kind of a reserved kind of eater. Mm-hmm. Our coworker is the opposite.
Yeah, and it was a big joke. It was like something that was funny.
This was the entertainment for the lunch. Was like,
when we pull up to the restaurant and there's severed chicken heads in the window, I'm like, dude, come on, like, no, man.
When they have a cat on a rotisserie or a dog, why don't I hear any dogs barking back there? This looks like a neighborhood that has lots of dogs in it.
So I'll be like, that's fine. I'll just hang out with you guys. And I think that time I just like everybody else ate, and I just kind of like, I'm just water.
You know,
water
it's tough too, because I'm not trying to pick on one culture over the next, but when you're at a Indian buffet, sometimes, especially if you have no knowledge, you've never had that type of food before, you're looking at what's to eat at the buffet, and you're like, well, he goes, it's great about a buffet is you can try it. If you don't like it, you could try something else. So you're not stuck with one entree. Okay, cool. So you're going down the line, you're like, okay, that's green stuff. This is orange stuff. It doesn't say chicken. It doesn't say.
You're just
beef.
Picking by color at this point.
Yeah, you're like, I'm an orange guy.
Kind of an orange.
Is it spicy orange or is it regular orange?
I'm red.
And I will say, like with Indian food, I did eventually try Indian food, and I'm like, yeah, there's some stuff I actually like, you know, and it's flavorful and what have you. But generally, it's like I think like paneer and stuff, like the cheese. Dude, some cheese. I'll eat some cheese all day long. Oh, beans, you know. So I try to stick to kind of Indian version of this food. Like I'm not going too crazy off the menu over here, but give me some fried cheese or whatever, and some beans and some naan bread and stuff. I'll tear it up.
I don't know, but at work, absolutely. There's, at least for me, I kind of think of like, okay, I'm in an environment where I have to perform these tasks, and I shouldn't be gone too long, or people might go, hey, where the heck?
You don't want to be on the
guy?
can for too much.
Yeah,
time.
and then there's other people in the can too sometimes, and sometimes the quality of the toilet paper is questionable.
Industrial grade.
Yeah, it's see-through, and if it's hot outside and you're sweating. I remember, I'll never forget this story. We were outdoors doing this training for the day, and it was kind of hot, so it's sweaty, and you're away from bathrooms because you're out in this outdoor environment, right? And for some reason, some of the guys thought it was a great, fantastic idea to go get Thai food for lunch. And I was like, no, man, I'm good. There's 2 outhouses where we're at. I don't want to be fighting and getting...
I don't want a number 5 spicy, whatever.
No.
Yeah.
Stupidity, man.
I'm good. I'm just going to go get a simple little ham and cheese, and that's it. Because I am thinking about, hey...
Yeah, you're thinking in advance.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't want to... I hate that feeling of like, hey, man...
Bubble guts.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys, he was a little heavier set, just went and he was like thinking, I'm going to eat. We're going to go to town at this Thai place. Well, I'll never forget, we're standing up doing this training. We're supposed to be like all kind of involved and kind of paying attention. And then he just turns over to me and goes, dude, I got to go number 2 and I got to go now. And he just dropped the tools he had in his hand and just beelined to the bathroom and like holding his rear as he was running up.
Oh, jeez.
And everybody
Where's
was
the
like,
dignity, bro? So there goes your dignity out the window.
Well, then of course everybody's looking like, hey, where's he going? Thai food.
Well, it's pretty obvious when he's running away holding his butt cheeks closed.
So of course he, after a few minutes, he's coming back and he just looks like he did push-ups and worked out because he has this look of relief on his face, but he almost looks pale. Oh God, I just barely made it. And I hate feeling like that at lunch. So I guess my point is that at lunch, I'm not super adventurous because you have to like work and stuff. You're not at home to where you have a nice bathroom and quality tissue, whatever,
But I've always been that way with eating too. Even the way I eat now, I cut out a lot of the unhealthy foods, but the healthy foods that I don't have a big roster of food. It's like I may have 25 to 30 things I generally eat.
I'm like that.
And I just rotate amongst those items. So even when I was eating unhealthy, say burger, fries, pizza, whatever, I got my roster of 30 foods. And those are probably crappy for you, 30 foods, but those are my 30 foods that I eat. Now it's like I eat the good 30 foods. So I'm not trying to go to some place and order the most chicken heads or whatever, dude. Like that's not me. I'm not an adventurous eater, dude.
Yeah, I remember we work in an environment where you have to kind of think of those things. And this guy, before we were going to do a particular task, decided to have a breakfast burrito at a gas station. And I thought, dude, before I already saw it and did a crisis rehearsal in my mind. And I thought, this is going to go sideways. And I told him, really, man? And he's like, no, I'm going. And so sure enough, man, right before we were about to execute, he's over there having to, I thought we were going to have to call 911. It's just unbelievable. Like people don't.
Well, I will say when I was eating unhealthy, I mean, there was a guy that we work with and he had a little bit different diet than I did. And we were teamed up on a thing for about a week in a car together, kind of just him and I for the most part. spending a lot of time together. And I'm like, dude, when I wasn't eating healthy, I was just eating junk all the time. And I'm like, I'm going by the gas station, dude. I'm going to get some stuff. I remember I bought a burrito, Da Bomb burrito.
That's when you hear that is the
Da
name
Bomb,
of the
yeah, that's a good choice.
And like a box of family sized Twinkies, and like just like a Shack thing or what, I don't know. It was just garbage, and I'm like, this is what I'm eating, dude, this week pretty much. So while we're stuck in the car together. So he went in and he got some stuff too, but he's not used to it. He's like, dude, I'm hurting. I'm like, well, if you're hurting, dude, you better get out of this car. Don't be hurting with me in the car with you, man. You better. But he ended up blowing up that car, dude. And it was disgusting. I was regretting taking him to the freaking gas station and getting this stuff. I paid for it at the end because I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, you can't just get out of the car real quick.
That's
like,
instant.
we almost came to blows, dude, before the end of that week because I'm like, you don't need to do that, buddy.
Yeah, that's instant karma. That's instant karma on you for taking him there. That's like, when people want to go to lunch with me and then they're like, oh, well, I consider it as a testament to how much they like me because I know they're going to have to go through some changes in their plans because I am very restrictive.
Yeah, I think I remember one time, didn't we go to like Jack in the Box and you had like chicken sandwich there? Well, and you were telling me afterwards, you're like, dude, I don't know, man. That really messed me up.
Yeah, when you used to eat badly, we went and we were on a side of town. I'm sorry. Didn't have a lot of culinary choices with an A in the window. And we went to a fast food restaurant because it was the only place that I had agreed to go because I thought at least I can get some chicken there. And
that's a reputable chicken.
Everybody ordered their food, but they're all used to polluting their bodies.
Yeah.
And I'm
seed
not.
Oils
because
and everything
if I eat something that's at this point, and I think you could read about this online and it's a tried and true or credible phenomena that you are used to eating foods that have a lot of preservatives and it's not going to make you ill. But if you aren't used to eating like that and you're always eating clean and organic and all of a sudden you have a chicken and there's only 2% chicken in that, it made me sick, dude. Yeah, I was not feeling good for a while.
You were like looking flush and like sweaty.
I remember looking at Beige thinking I felt bad about the feelings of hatred I had in my heart because I liked him. It wasn't your fault. It's just the idea of sometimes you try to concede.
Well, it's like if you go to a foreign country, like as Americans, if you go to certain countries, you ain't drinking the water, dude.
Yeah.
If you drink the water, you're gonna have problems.
Yep.
But the people who live there,
they're resilient to it.
They're fine. They drink the water all the time, and I've been to places before where you'll go in somebody's home, in a foreign country like that, and it's customary to like bring tea or water and offer, and I better not,
Sometimes you got to take a stand, dude. You got to take a stand for what you believe in. And I love my bros, but there are certain places that I just I won't. I ran into somebody the other day, and I hadn't been lunched with him in a while, but it's because I know he always wants to go to the hole in the wall, that serves like the burritos or the whatever it is, and he's like, oh, it's the real stuff, and I'm like, it's the real way to make yourself sick. That's the only thing real about it. And I said, I'm not going to partake in that. That's not for me. But yeah, I'm kind of selective when I go to a place. Even if it's like it's just for show, I want to see certain things, especially when you walk in. You can tell if a place is clean. Look at the floor. Nobody ever looks at the floor. If you see the floor is clean, that's a good sign. If you look at tables where people have left and there's nobody there, look at the table.
Okay, I got a question for you. Say you walk into a place and it smells like Pine Sol. Are you taking that as a good sign, or are you taking that as like you're covering something up? There was something nasty that just occurred in here, and you're trying to Pine Sol this away.
I know exactly what you're talking about because before my wife, that's what we used to clean our floor. So I didn't. You're just like, oh, so yeah, they must.
Does that kill germs?
Now realizing my wife is allergic to Pine Sol. This sounds weird, but she gets welts on her back. There's some kind of whatever they put in there. She gets welts
and it's got
a
distinctive odor.
Yes. Well, some people. I will tell you, when I was growing up, that's someone was like, that's what you use to clean the floor. But with my wife, she found out, I guess in science class, that's what they wiped all the stuff down, and her skin like rubbed against the counter that she was sitting at, and she broke out in hives, and they couldn't figure it out until they tried to, this is what we clean with is Pine Sol, and she's allergic to it. So now if we walk into a restaurant and she smells that, smell, whoop, it's turn. It doesn't matter how clean it looks, what food it is, where it's at. We can't eat here because she's gonna break out.
Because when you smell that, that's supposed to give off the impression that something is clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But my thing is like, is it clean or are you compensating for something? Yeah. Like, is it really nasty and you're trying to disguise it? You know?
Shouldn't be able to smell whatever was used, I think. I mean, when I waited tables before I became a waiter, I was also a bus person. I used to have a
like the city bus,
kind of an apron, LOL. Well, I'd have like a wash rag that I would use to wipe the tables down, and so when it got too dirty, you'd go put it in the soda water. We used a mixture of water, club soda. I guess it had some kind of acidity to it or something, but I don't know how bacteria killing this piece of equipment was. So when you would wipe the table down, it'd make it look nice, but I used to think, is that really killing anything? Mm-hmm. And or
is that making resilient super germs?
Yeah, you're just spreading around the germs and they're getting tougher every time you get wiped by the same dirty ass rag. So you'd put the rag back in your pocket, but I'd see some bus people that would never change their rag, the entire shift. So it's not like anybody's studying their rag every time and I'm not saying that's necessary.
Well, and you as a customer, when you sit down, you're like, is there food on my table? Is there crusty crap everywhere? No. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, there's
like you're not like examining, how clean the rag was. Somebody. Right. So yeah, these are all things that it's probably could be actually really dirty still, but you have no way of knowing.
Yeah, people are breathing onto the table. They might be sneezing. They might sneeze on their hand, and then they didn't want to let their guests or their fellow peers see what they're doing. They wipe it on the floor.
But that's what I think. So say you go to the grocery store, right? And somebody's sick, they sneeze on their hand or whatever, and they go and they grab a thing of cheese or something, and then they're like, nah, I don't want that. I'm going to put that back. Now you have a sneeze,
a discarded
cheese in there that you didn't realize was a discarded cheese from somebody's snotty hand that they had, and now you bring this home from the grocery store, and I mean it's in a package, right? So you're like, oh, it's fine, but it's really somebody's been handling this bag of cheese basically before you got it.
Even the philosophical notion that you're eating something that's been discarded, even though somebody looked at that and said, nah. And now you get to, now it's yours. Seconds. Yeah, now you're getting sloppy seconds, Just the idea that also, even though I know that has no consequence or association with the bacteria.
Because, I mean, I'll be honest, I've done that. I've gone and grabbed, like, if you go to the gas station and you want to get some drinks, you grab some drinks and then you're like, no, I want that one instead. I'm going to put this one back.
Yeah.
And your hands have been all over.
And then your hands have been all over. Maybe your hands aren't super clean. You didn't just wash them right before you went into the gas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but that's where I kind of say you kind of have to, there's a balance, right? Because you walk into a restaurant and like you said, you look around, you look at, okay, the floors are clean. The tabletops look clean. Okay, you're checking all your boxes as you go to the restaurant. This is a place I want to eat. But as you check out, all of a sudden the cashier breaks out in a coughing fit.
Ooh.
So, it doesn't matter how clean, like the floors, anywhere you go,
well, that's another thing to look for. I
only go to this this grocery store because, they have all the fruits and vegetables aligned just so. But somebody physically touched all those pears, all those apples,
right,
and touched it. And then your brain starts going, well, what does a farmer touch his face
farmer?
Well, like with fruit, you're going to wash it, right? Yeah. You're going to wash the fruit, but you're not going to wash the bag of cheese.
That or like say for instance, you go and get a bag of grapes, and like you guys said, okay, cool. It comes in a nice little bag, but most of the time it's open. But you don't know that little Timmy, that was the bag that little Timmy's mom had in the cart, and he was putting his hand in that bag, and they decided
put it in his diaper, and then he put it in the bag,
and then he put his finger in his butthole.
Timmy's mom goes, I don't want grapes, and puts the grapes back. And now here comes Pierce going down the aisle going, oh, those are the grapes I like.
Totally oblivious.
Oblivious that little Timmy's hand that was in his diaper area was eating grapes out of that bag. Now you're eating.
Yeah, you're basically eating off of Timmy's private.
So I guess what I'm saying is there's a balance, right?
Basically, you're playing Russian roulette with germs every day.
I'd like to see my wait staff and my servers at a restaurant bring me my food in hazmat outfits. I wouldn't even mind. I'd be happy with that. But as long as it's a restaurant I've been to before, before, and I didn't have any consequence. I didn't have anything negative, any derogatory experience.
Yeah, because at a certain point in time, you're just going to be we're letting it go here, you know?
You just gotta let it go.
You just got to let it go. Like I said, and that goes back to what I said at the beginning. Unless I see something egregious, then I'm going to just pretend like it's all good, pretty much, you know? I know I had a story. I was at a sandwich place once, and the girl behind the counter was making the subs. She had gloves on, great, you know, the little plastic gloves and stuff. And then she goes and she wipes her nose with her glove hand.
Nice. That's exactly right.
And then she goes back to making the sandwiches, and I'm like,
I've seen that.
Okay. But now the onus is on you as a customer. What are you going to do? That's gross. I don't want that sandwich now. That's what you want to say.
Yeah, and probably she didn't even know she did it.
And she didn't even know she did it. But you know, if you say that, you're going to humiliate her.
Yeah.
But you want to say that because you don't want to eat booger sandwich now.
So now you're gonna suffer the consequence of,
or you're just gonna throw
a life altering.
You're gonna get the sandwich and then throw it in the trash and waste $8.
So you're gonna spend money. You're gonna take the food, but because you don't want to hurt her feelings and make her feel awkward,
you're
and
just
bad,
gonna throw it in the trash.
And I've been in that situation before myself, and sometimes it's tough, man, because you don't want to you can't underplay how strong our psychological discomfort can be that actually makes you do things you wouldn't ordinarily want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, because none of us are insane pathological people where we just look forward to making people miserable. Most of us have some kind of, you know, idea that, wow, this would really hurt this person or something. And I've been there too. You know, I remember that kind of happened to me. And what I did is I had never watched my food so carefully after it was handled in that scenario. And as soon as I took the top off, I just removed the part that I had seen her touch after she did that. Cause I had that same exact hat, and it was like performing surgery on my food before plus I had the feeling that it would be wasteful to throw that out. There's people, you know, my parents used to always say, hey, there's people starving in China.
Yeah, they would love a booger sandwich.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. They'd love to have a side of boogers with their food, and you can't just take a few boogers. How dare you? You're evil. And that would feel bad. I'd feel bad, man. I'd think, well, you know what? They're right.
Yeah.
Well, it goes in the same token. I'm sure you guys have been in the store before, and you're going down, let's just say, the cereal aisle, and you see somebody that just put a couple of steaks on the shelf because they didn't want them anymore.
See, that's wrong,
where they don't belong.
Yeah, and so you're
like a frozen food item. You're like, oh, this ice cream. Here it is next by the Kix or by the Life cereal.
The reason I'm mentioning like steaks or say a packet of fresh chicken is now what's the question, right? When an employee walks by, do they go put?
They gotta throw that away. They gotta throw that away.
Or do you judge like, oh, is it still cold?
How long has it been sitting there?
Yeah. Well, that's a real scary judgment call to make, dude. Yeah. You know, because you're like, yeah, I think we're good. You know,
jeez.
And what's the ramifications of that? I don't know. Somebody gets deathly ill.
What else does that person do after they leave their job at the grocery store? Do they kill people? Do they steal from children?
But what kind of heathen does that? Yeah, where it's like, oh, steaks here. I'm going to put this next to the Life cereal.
Yeah,
figure it out. Like, we've all put it back by the damn steaks, dude.
That's probably also the same person that was in the parking lot, parked in the handicap spot when they went out.
That leaves their grocery cart right in the middle.
Leaves their cart way off somewhere else. I know we visited this a number of times, but how dare anybody that does that, man? That is some messed up stuff. Besides, I guarantee you, and I'm sorry to sound like an elitist, I do try to be healthy, but anytime I've seen somebody, gosh, I know we've talked about this too much, that won't take their cart back, and then I look at them, I always think, you could stand the extra few steps. Believe me.
What else are you not doing in your life? Yeah. This is indicative of the type of person you are.
You know, you mentioned earlier too about using the restroom. And when I go to a restaurant, usually the only thing I'm doing in that restroom is maybe a number one and maybe washing my hands, but I'm in and out of there. And the thing is,
never an emergency.
I don't like to use public restrooms. And the thing is that my body, I know.
What if you have an emergency, dude?
There is no such thing as an emergency when you eat properly and you know, like clockwork, when you're going to go.
What happens if you have that fast food chicken sandwich?
You don't. Well, that was a different.
That's what I'm saying.
That was on Beige. That was Beige's fault. But that was the day that I let go of my own convictions and I did something to appease my homie.
Okay, but what if you're getting sick, dude? Let's say you're getting a little, like you
drive home, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, well, you don't live close to the office.
I know that's true, but I'm just my
He's
point
sweating
is
the whole way.
Yeah, exactly. That's a long drive in traffic, bro. That's dangerous.
There's even been some parts of town where I'd rather go number one in my car than go into that place. You know.
No, I've got some good stories about being at work late at night, and then you're on the bad part of town, and it's like, I got a number 2 and it's coming and it don't matter. And then you end up picking a really bad place that you would probably never go to. And we'll go into a different topic about that.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. But that's a rough scenario, man. I just try to avoid public everything that goes along with, and we've had way too many episodes where we've
and the thing with public restrooms, if you have to use them, that's fine, but you try to mitigate your content. You want to exist in a bubble.
Exactly.
Like, the only thing that should touch anything is your feet.
Right.
The bottoms of your feet.
A restroom is, to me, a public restroom to me equals emergency.
Yeah.
I never go to a public restroom for, I'm going to go to the public restroom. No big deal. No, it's if you've gone from like green to red. If there's an emergency situation. And other than that, dude, I'm never in a yellow situation going to a restroom.
What's funny about public restrooms, remember back in the day they used to have restroom attendants? You'd never see that anymore. That's just never, that's not a thing anymore at all,
but
anywhere.
That used to be at nightclubs, so maybe we're not in the nightclub scene anymore. I know I'm not, so
Although, I mean, as a guy, it's like, I don't want some dude hanging out waiting for me to finish taking a piss.
Yeah.
You
know?
You mean you didn't get the bag of mints next to the sink when you were done?
And I don't like the pressure.
Yeah. And I
don't need the pressure while I'm standing. Like, this guy's staring at me. He's like, wow, this guy's taking a long time here.
If you've just washed your hands in the restroom and then you grab some mints, like, do you really want to grab who knows who else touched those mints? Did they wash their hands?
Yeah. I know that's a freak out.
And I don't want that.
And why is that a thing? Mints in the bathroom. Why couldn't it be beef sticks, you know?
Yeah. The level of priorities where you're worried about your minty breath after you leaving the restroom, that's all screwed up. First priority is to make sure that you have some cleanliness on the exterior surface of your body. Your hands, you haven't touched anything. As far as I'm concerned, you can almost throw your shoes away.
You're not sloshing through puddles of,
But your hands are still moist when you reach in.
Excrement.
The mint jar.
Yeah. And I also don't want that dude making eye contact with me. I do remember that. I remember thinking, that's kind of a fancy place. But
dude, I will tell you, I was at the office the other day, and you go into the restroom, and at our office we have single-use restrooms, right? If you want a little privacy, you can just single use. So I went into the single-use restroom because it's right by my desk, and I go in there, and the seat is just full of piss.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
Who is doing this, dude? Who does this?
That should be a crime right there.
Yeah. Like, what heathen comes in here, pisses all over the seat and says, we're good. I'm just leaving it.
It's savage.
Like, what is wrong with you, dude?
Savagery. That's the kind of person too.
You're an awful person.
Well,
whoever that was.
I don't want to.
If you're listening, you're an awful person.
They're probably more likely to do other heinous acts.
Right.
That person probably thought, I don't want to touch the toilet seat.
It's your piss.
I don't want to get dirty. But at what point then the favor's going to be returned on you, right? So, if you got an emergency number code brown, and now you're like, you're not going to sit on that. And then plus, even no matter what you clean that with in the bathroom, that was on the toilet seat you need to sit on. And you don't have cleaning materials like bleach or nothing like that.
So the most you can do is just dry it off.
Yeah, that's exactly
right. You're just wiping germs at that point from one place to another.
But so the guy who does it, he's like, oh, that's gross. I don't want to touch that. That's your piss, dude. Would it be better somebody else touches your piss? Yeah. I mean, you're the one that left it there. So that's your responsibility now.
Not to mention the poor, I know exactly what you're talking about, because the cleaning staff is actually really nice and friendly people, and that's the kind of mess you're leaving behind.
Exactly.
It's like, come on now.
Right. That's either like that mentality of, I hate that mentality. Oh, the cleaning staff will take care of it.
It's ridiculous. When you see tissue laying on the floor too, I think, who just left that there, man? That's messed up.
Right.
Yeah, that's just
like when you go to a restroom, you should leave no trace, dude.
I've even, I know that people out there are going to be listening to this and be like, oh, okay, that guy. I might be one of the people that was the reason that they put that little foot pedal on the door so that somebody has to step on it. Because
or you open everything with your elbows. You do the elbow.
But I've used tissue or something, especially at a gas gas station to open the door, God forbid it's not one that I can push open with my foot and I have to pull on the handle. Just think of the people that held that handle way before you did. So I'll use a little tissue.
I'm surprised you don't just hang out at the door and wait for somebody to come in
and then try to duck out without touching it.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, that's what he does. Yeah.
I've waited a few seconds before, but the other thing I've done is I've reached into my wallet and I found an old receipt or something, and I'll use that to open the door.
Wow. Or, look at the skills.
Yeah, the other thing is, if you grab some tissue and you open it, an intellectual person might, you just take that tissue and you throw it into the trash before you leave the gas station. You don't just throw it on the floor or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just insane to me, because somebody's going to have to pick that up. Do you not realize that?
Yeah, I just don't understand. They leave a mess and they're just like, since when is that ever acceptable, dude? Yeah. I just don't.
No,
what kind of barn were you
because
born
I was
in?
asking people about that for a while, because depending on what area of town you live in, you will see that where you go into, for the men, the toilet stall is usually for number 2s. You go in there and you'll see toilet tissue in the corner back by the toilet, and to me I'm like thinking, the toilet's right there.
Yeah,
how
it's not
so
that
it used to
far
drive
away.
me crazy, like, why is there? Well, I started asking people and they're like, well, it depends on where you come from. A lot of places don't have advanced
good plumbing, and so
you don't put toilet tissue in the toilet. You put it, those places that I'm talking about have a trash can next to the toilet, because you put your number 2 wipes in the.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that Red is making us think
I'm just saying, because it bothered me too, because you're like thinking, wow, thinking about it, you're doing your number 2 in a public place.
I don't want to think about
and
it.
you're next to this can that has other people's number 2
Jeez.
wipes right next to you.
I don't want to know about a place in the world where that happens. I just, you know what? I have heard that there's certain things that you just remember, facts for some reason. I remember, unfortunately, there's a particular country that has one of the famous statistics is that they have the most amount of people for the least amount of plumbing ratio.
That's not a good stat.
I think I know what you're talking about, because I've seen there's Instagram reels dedicated to this, and you know how the algorithm works. Once you watch one and then you're like, oh,
that's all you get.
Yeah.
You're just, it's all just sewage now.
Yeah, now you're just seeing poo coming at you 24/7.
I'll rip that Band-Aid off and say it's India.
Instagram's like, well, this guy's really into crap. That's just inundated.
He called it. Yep,
there's
the right country.
It's hilarious.
What is it?
India.
Yeah.
And there's actually a bunch of Instagram reels about it. Because like the food vendors are one, and then the bathrooms. Like there was one I was just watching recently, and it's funny because you talk about it, because I was thinking about it too.
God bless.
Where it's in a slums in India, and it's like, it looks like a little wash culvert for maybe the rain, and it's where people can go in public, number 1 or number 2, and it's just out on the sidewalk.
Gosh.
So you have like some sort of, like, I don't know, some sort of long,
it's like a trough.
Exactly, and you just hover over it, and you're walking right by in public like it's a sidewalk. And I guess we think about it because of our culture that, like, that's disgusting. But I mean, if you grow up there,
if you didn't have anything,
you're used to it. Like the food vendor sanitary things that you watch on Instagram in India, where there's rats walking by, and I could see Pierce asking for his food handler's card.
I'm not going to a food handler cart. Yeah, I'm not going to a Roach Coach, number 1. Number 2, I don't eat any food coming out of a gas station. I don't care if it's got a wrapper. Where's that package been before you touched it? And then after you touch it, what are you doing next? You're touching your food.
You've never had a super pumper?
Well, I mean, I will say gas stations aren't really known for their nutritional food. So I don't think
that's already another check mark.
No. I've been told their nacho cheese is always very nutritious.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sure there's hardly anything organic in that. There's probably nothing nutritious in that.
Dude, maybe that's a business idea, a gas station that just sells organic, healthy food.
Yeah, seems like an oxymoron. But, if you had a choice to put something in your body, it doesn't make sense to me that you would ever squander that choice by putting anything that's not good for you. And I think that people have a disconnect to consequence. They don't recognize the consequence and the long-term effect of that, or they haven't bothered to, or haven't. But on the other hand, and we don't mean to pick on a particular country, but the thing is that those people probably have very resilient
immune system.
Their immune system's very strong. And that's why when you go visit there, I'm nearly at death's door. I remember my first trip to Mexico was having a blast going out in the ocean and boogie boarding all day. And then I can't remember what happened, but the next thing I woke up and I just saw bright lights, and I think I was in the hospital because it's hard, man. And there's probably some good that comes out of being exposed to that, but I don't know, over and over and over again, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's like a bell curve. Like there's a sweet spot, but too much of it and you're dead.
A point of diminishing returns, and how much filth you put in your body.
You got to know what because I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to go quite a bit to Mexico when I was younger, and I would go with friends that had never been before. I think in American culture, we have quite a bit of, especially in the younger people, just eating chicken, like it's a chicken thing. Well, you're in Mexico, predominantly what they're going to serve is, quote, Mexican food. So they think in their head, I'm going to order something with chicken.
They don't serve chicken there, they serve pollo.
Well, exactly. But my thing is you got to think and realize where you're at. I mean, not everywhere in Mexico is the same, of course, but the place we're at is a beach town, and it's kind of desolate. Air conditioning and probably refrigerators and climate controlled food storage is probably not a big thing. So I would tell my friends, hey, when you're here, don't get chicken, because chicken is probably...
this isn't Chick-fil-A, bro.
It's not going to be well preserved.
Yeah, exactly. It's just because it's a thing there. They just don't have the, what do you call it?
Resources
to keep their food cold. Refrigerated. So like beef is fine. Mm-hmm. You could eat beef and steak all day long and you won't get sick.
And the fish, beach,
it's a beach town, so fish is the best thing to get, right?
That's a good to know.
But there's a lot of people.
That's a good hoe tip.
So I guess I'm saying, like, kind of have to know where you're at, because I'm like, hey, I'm not. Chicken burritos are fantastic from certain places.
They're usually a little healthier,
this beach town,
right?
But
it's a good observation, man.
Because people always complain about, like, if you're in the interior of the United States, how can you get sushi? It's not going to be good sushi if you're in Colorado, because
it's how not far? Near
and you're
which most of that stuff isn't from the U.S. anyways.
Yeah, and a lot of these places I know around here, I like seafood. They fly it in every day.
Yeah.
So you're getting dang near next day fresh, if not same day.
Guys, we've gotten just over an hour, but I think we've had a pretty amazing show. I do think that we would probably want to go ahead and break into our what would you do scenario. This is the section of our show where we discuss what would you do, and I'm not sure which one I like the best. That's the scam scratch where we sometimes talk about scams that we've observed. This one is for our what would you do scenario. So we're going to talk about what would you do now, and I think Beige had one that he was pretty fired up when he came. So
yeah, I mean, it was just something I had heard on another show about. There was this thing, I guess it's kind of gone viral, where Amazon delivery driver, right? And he's going up to somebody's door, and he's got an emergency bathroom situation. He's out delivering packages, and he's got an emergency. And he's begging and pleading for this lady that he's delivering the package to let him in her house that he can use the restroom. And she's, no, you can't. I have kids here. You're scaring me. Right. And he's like begging and pleading and almost crying because it's such an emergency. What would you do in that situation if you had like the Amazon delivery driver or the UPS guy?
And he was asking me.
And he's asking you, and you know it's probably going to be a number 2.
I do a quick ocular pat down of this guy. I look at him. I think, is this a guy who this happens to a lot? Is this legit?
Let's not say UPS. Let's say it's just a plain clothes Amazon guy. Because they have those guys that kind of come up and they deliver,
I wouldn't, because I would say something like, I'm on the phone and I'm about to leave, otherwise I would.
And this guy, he's crying. He's like, man, this is an emergency, dude.
I can't break, man. I'm sorry. Because the thing is once you let a mass murderer into your house. Here's the other thing is that if he's got a Amazon van, I just feel like he's got other choices. It's not like
you've got means of transportation.
If he's at the point where he's begging you, he might not have many choices left.
I would imagine that those people get trained on the do's and don'ts, and I would imagine pretty high up on their list is that you're not allowed to ask the person that you deliver stuff to.
And I get that you're not allowed to ask, but if you're in that position, you might be like, screw the rules, dude. I'm asking, He
just finished his gas station sushi, and now...
Yeah, see, again, I can't sympathize with somebody eating at a gas station.
So you're going to chastise him. Sir, why are you in this position to begin with,
I won't put him through the ringer, but I definitely am going to make those judgment calls in my mind. And I also think that if somebody's not following the rules of etiquette for their own job, then I'm thinking...
Poor guy.
No, I wouldn't report him, but I just think, well, this is somebody already operating outside the bounds of his rule book, so I'm like, nah, I'm sorry. I don't know why, but for some reason, if somebody was in a UPS uniform...
There's a little bit more legitimacy there, right? You're like, this guy's in a uniform. He's legit. Like the guy... I don't know who this guy is in the jeans and the T-shirt delivering my Amazon package. This guy's in a UPS.
Hooligan.
For all I know, his MO is that he drives in a make-a-look-alike Amazon vehicle and goes to people's houses trying to get case them and get information. And
I like it. Even though he has your package.
Well, and
he
the
shows
hard
up
thing,
and it's got your name.
Did he bring me my package?
Yeah, he's bringing you your package and he says, "Oh man, hey, can you let me?"
Did he already hand me my package?
Oh, he's kind of holding it.
Yeah, he's got your package and he's like, "Hey, can I use it?" You know, and the thing is this was all caught on a Ring camera, right? So whereas say 10 years ago, this would be a very embarrassing type situation for this individual.
Right.
But people aren't capturing it on camera. Nowadays, everybody's got a Ring camera.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be viral on the internet, dude.
Yeah.
You know, that's just rough. And me personally, it's I don't know. I would take care of whatever I had to take care of off camera, whatever that meant, however I had to handle things. Yeah. But after that happened and that goes viral, there's no dignity left for that guy.
His life is destroyed.
His life is your dignity's gone, dude. You know, you're here crying about using it. Me personally, it's I'm going to keep my dignity intact one way or the other. And I think pooing in the bushes that nobody knows about, you still have more dignity in that situation.
Yeah, at least I would actually find that more acceptable. Yeah, because I just think too,
because at least you're not on camera, probably, right? You're doing it. You're kind of. Nobody else knows pretty much except for you,
I would, you'd have to see a lot of desperation in somebody's eyes in order for it to be compelling enough to let them, because I just think that you realize that somebody's operating way out of the scope of social boundaries convention to do that, to ask you to not follow the rules of probably what they were directed to
do. And it's you're gonna blow it up, dude. There's not, it's not, is it a number
is
one
it a
or
delicate number one?
Yeah, no, he's
just
blowing,
a tinkle?
he's blowing it up, dude.
It's not just a tinkle if he's in an emergency situation.
Right.
Because he could just find some place to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if he was asking you for your hose after he was done doing his...
you guys are getting crazy now.
What if he's like, do you have a bidet? I need a bidet.
Yeah. Right. Do you have a bucket?
What about you, Red?
What would you do, Red?
Oh, if I would let him in or no?
Yeah.
No. I mean, in all honesty, no. Because like you said, there's kind of a thing where, because
even though by not letting him in, you're pretty certain that guy's going to poo his pants.
Well, I think we might have mentioned this before, not necessarily what would you do, but I think we brought this up before, is flip it of, hey, what if this was like a neighborhood kid coming up to your door? So it's not a physical threat. Yeah. It's not a physical threat to you, like, oh, well, I don't know what this guy's got in his waistline or whatever. Somebody that's, I'm assuming, an 8-year-old kid's banging on your door. I gotta go in the bathroom. Like, sorry, little Johnny. Like, you should ask the neighbor. They're a little bit more friendlier. But because then you go into a different aspect of, I don't want this strange kid in my house.
Right. Exactly.
Unless somebody's got a catheter hooked up to them. I don't see how their body is so unpredictable that they're just having to randomly run up to houses to take a number two. I just think you've already set the stage for a jacked up life. If you can't control and you don't have some kind of understanding of when you go. I know when I go within a 30-minute increment.
Yeah, it's like you're making deliveries, but you couldn't have on the way to that house stopped off at a gas station somewhere instead and been like, hold on.
And yesterday when you ate and the other days in your life when you've lived, is this normally a time when you have this explosive need? I mean, how is this happening to you? If you eat properly, if you're not getting burritos at gas stations, you should know within about 30 minutes when you usually go number two. And it should be probably in the morning with your morning constitution after you've had your grapefruit and you've gotten your sun. Or it should be in the evening, sometime just before dinner or thereafter.
We know a little bit too much about Pierce's schedule.
It's dialed in, dude. Yeah. It's just remarkable to me. It's fascinating.
Well, and I think the justification for that lady was like, here's a dude, random stranger dude. She's at home. She's got kids at home.
Yeah.
As a woman and everything, there's a concern, a safety aspect. And like you said, whereas as a guy, there's different considerations, whether it be a little kid or a female or something. I'm not letting somebody in I don't know with no witnesses around me and this person so that potentially people can lie and say things happen and I have no way to refute this. That puts me in a bad position. So I'm not going to... girl comes up to my house and wants me to let her in to use the bathroom. I got nobody else around. You could lie and say whatever the hell you want, and now I have to defend myself, and I have no witnesses to verify my story. I'm not putting myself in that position.
Yeah,
correct.
I think we figured that one out. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Brett, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Go for it.
Okay. I thought of this. We've kind of touched on this before, because we touched on some restaurant. I was thinking about my mom. I love her. I remember when she would use the word Oriental way too much to describe people. So she would say
rugs.
It's okay to refer to a rug using the word Oriental, but not to a human being. So I'd have this discussion with her, but we would go to a restaurant. She would say, "Oh, ask the Oriental lady if, and I'm, Mom, you can't." So I was wondering what you would do in a situation where somebody's using some vernacular like that and you want to correct them, but you have to do it in front of people because it's getting too pervasive. Or if you're in a restaurant and you're with somebody and they're being rude to the waiter or the waitress, how do you handle that so that because at this point you've got to say something? What would you do, Beige, in that situation?
It's funny when you say Oriental. I remember the Top Ramens back in the day. That used to be one of their flavors.
Oriental
yeah, because
flavors.
I think it's a time. There's a part in time where that's what people.
It's like one of those terms that I think it maybe used to be okay or something, and that's like people from an older generation. That's probably why your mom was saying it. You know what I mean?
I want to look up the exact definition for Oriental because I'm kind of curious. Actually, I have an idea.
I'll be honest.
If
somebody's being really rude to. And your mom wasn't being rude there. It was just like she just didn't realize, I guess maybe she shouldn't be using that particular word. But if you're at lunch or something and somebody's being rude to the staff because they got the wrong meal or something like that, honestly, I don't do anything because what's the option to do? Apologize for this person's behavior? Now you've created a rift between, like, say Red and I are at the restaurant and Red's like, "You're incompetent. Are you serious? I didn't order this. Give me a break. What are you doing?" What am I going to do as a person? Oh, I'm sorry for him. And now Red's going to be like, "Dude, what the hell?"
Right.
Now you have a conflict between you and your buddy. So a lot of times in those situations, unless it's too freaking crazy, but if it's just like you criticizing, I'm just not probably going to say anything. But in my mind, I'm going to be like, I don't respect that.
Yeah. Maybe you just decide not to hang out with that person too much anymore, and that kind of setting.
But you're not gonna. I'm not gonna call somebody out like that because I don't approve of their behavior. Mm-hmm. Because usually that person, I care about that person more than the stranger that I don't know.
It depends on your relationship with them.
Well, yeah. And I think you were hitting on it too. It probably depends on how they're using it. You know what I mean? Like if they're using it to insult or kind of belittle the people that say you're at a Asian restaurant and that's how they're talking, but that like your mom had.
It's not coming from a bad place.
Correct.
It's just
the way she was using it. That's exactly
it's not malicious.
Because there are terms that older our grandparents use that you're kind of
like, yeah, that's not really appropriate anymore.
But to them, that's how they spoke back then. So I think it happens with different generations all
Even
the time.
though it means the same thing. In their mind, when they say Oriental, they're thinking, Asian or East Asian or something. That's like what they're thinking that means in their mind. And so it's just a different term for the same message they're trying to convey,
It's like a different characteristic of Asia, especially East Asia. Oriental rugs. That's the term. That's the way it.
So they're should be used for objects.
It doesn't
not people.
say that, but it just says of or characteristic of Asia, especially East Asia. Here's one where it says Orient, quote unquote, is a term that refers to the East in relation to Europe and traditionally includes anything from the Eastern world. So technically, my mom was using it right, but
so that's a
not
thing,
appropriate.
right? So that's a thing. So then where's the definition? And who
Somebody
along the way
decided
that that's not how you refer to people that way? You know what I mean? For instance, white people, call me white, call me Caucasian,
Cracker?
Well,
okay.
Come on, buddy.
There's a lot of stuff I got to delete.
No, but I'm saying, like, you're trying to convey the same message.
Right.
It's not malicious. I'm not trying to insult you or denigrate you in any way. Maybe I'm not using the term that you think is appropriate to use, but I'm not trying to denigrate you or insult you. I'm just like trying to describe you, basically. And if somebody wants to describe me as white or Caucasian, I have whatever you want to say. Just don't.
Albino, transparent.
Wow. See? Now, yeah. I
don't know, Red.
This guy.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Do you think you got one up? Or you got one teed up for?
Yeah, I had a couple things going through my head.
No rush.
I'll make it quick because I don't think I brought this one up before, but it's happened to me before, and I was kind of like, should I not? I was pumping gas into my car, right, at a gas station. A person walked up to me and says, "Hey, I hate to do this, but can I make a call on your phone? My car broke down and my phone is dead. I need to call my friend to help me out with my car. Can I use your phone?" And I know because you guys think the same way I do. You're like thinking of all the scenarios. What? Yeah.
You're gonna call your drug dealer with this?
They're gonna get my phone number. Absolutely who are you gonna call? But then it's hot outside. You feel kind of bad. Okay, how about I dial the number for you and I'll do the whole *667 thing, so whoever you're calling doesn't get my number if it's some ulterior motive type of thing. But I let the person use my phone because to me it looked like their story, I guess their body language, it fit the story.
You assess the situation.
Yeah, like this person needs help, so I let them use my phone. But I just remember being
sucker, man. What a sucker.
So Beige, what would you do if you're?
Did you put the phone on speaker and you held it and you just put it up to their face?
No,
so you didn't give them possession of your phone?
But I was hovering around them very close.
Well, because that's one of my concerns is like, what, dude, I'm going to give you my phone. You're going to book it with my phone? Because phones aren't cheap, dude.
Or maybe they're going to identify your number or try to get some information to tag another number with and then then the game begins.
Maybe they're using it for some criminal purpose, and so now your phone number is somehow associated with some criminal activity or something. That's worrisome. Like there's all those scenarios that run through my mind, but then at the end of the day you kind of feel like you're on the spot because it's like, how do I say no to this person without sounding like a total dick?
What you do is you go to the gas station with a burner phone so that you're always ready. Right. So you can give it to somebody.
Wow, you're prepared.
I have this for just for
this occasion.
Here. Prepared, dude.
So you're right. I mean, I would probably say, what's the phone number? What number? And the crazy thing is most people don't even know numbers now. I think there's one or two phone numbers I've memorized by most times. It's like now that we have cell phones and contacts, people aren't memorizing phone numbers anymore.
I agree.
Even like my daughter's phone numbers, I don't know their phone numbers off the top of my head. They're in my phone.
Yeah.
I actually did have that happen once, and I did ask them, well, what's the number and who are you calling? And their answers were way too tongue-tied. And so I was like, sorry, pal.
And it's like, they're like 1-900.
Yeah.
It's like supposed to.
And I was like, nope.
1-900 hot sexy.
Yeah.
It's like, you already came up in your contacts.
Candy. Candy's on the line there.
No, I know a scam when I hear it, and that's not a good one, man. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to Heroes. This was another pretty amazing show, I think. It's pretty decent. And you can listen to Heroes of Humility anywhere they stream halfway decent podcasts. Remember that we're also on Spotify. Some of the social media things like, we're on Spotify, Apple, and a bunch of others. But thanks for listening. You catch us on Facebook, Instagram. We have a YouTube. Eventually, we'll start doing YouTube videos. Beige has a drone. And we may be doing something at an upcoming car show. Who knows? Maybe we'll bring the drone and see what happens. But at least we're going to be bringing our rides and hanging out. So if you want to see the Heroes of Humility, we'll be at a car show here and we'll give you more information on that. But hope everybody's doing well. Stay cool. Be kind. And this is Pierce signing off with
Beige.
Red.
Take care.